There was a time when I stared at my bank account and saw nothing but the arithmetic of defeat. Numbers so small they felt like mockery. I had hunger, the kind that doesn't live in the stomach, but behind the eyes. I had visions, burning and specific. I had ambition that woke me at 3 in the morning with its urgency. And yet the world around me seemed to speak in one persistent, maddening whisper. Not yet. Not you. Not now. So I did what everyone does. I worked harder. I pushed. I ground myself down against the stone of effort, certain that if I bled enough, the universe would finally notice and reward me. But resistance met me at every turn. The door I knocked on swung shut. The path I followed curved back to where I started. And I began to wonder if the problem wasn't my effort at all, but something deeper, something invisible. Then, one ordinary morning, in the quiet before the world woke up, the truth arrived. Not as a thunderclap, not as a vision. It arrived as a whisper, and it said, "The world is only ever reflecting you." I sat with that for a long time. If I see lack, it is because I have been speaking the language of lack. If I see delay, it is because I have been living inside the assumption of delay. I had been narrating a story of struggle so consistently, so faithfully, that reality had no choice but to perform it back to me. I was the author of my own limitation, writing the same chapter over and over without realizing I held the pen. And so I made a decision that changed everything. I put down doubt. I set aside fear. I released the exhausting grip of effort without belief. And instead, I chose 3 words, 3 small, world-shattering words, and I spoke them not as a wish, not as a prayer, not as a plea sent upward into an indifferent sky. I spoke them as a decree, as fact, as something already done. I spoke them in the morning, before the day could tell me who I was. I spoke them at night, when the mind is soft and the subconscious listens without armor. I didn't just say the words, I inhabited them. I felt them vibrate in the cavity of my chest, radiating outward like a tuning fork struck against the edge of reality. I felt them bending something in the air around me, not with effort, but with certainty. Nothing outside of me had changed, and I refused to look. I refused to check the account. I refused to interrogate the horizon for signs of arrival. My only discipline, my only practice, my only occupation was to remain in the knowing, to stay in the feeling of it already being done. Then, and I will never forget the moment the first thing arrived. Not with fanfare, without announcement, a connection appeared where there had been only empty space. A door swung open that I hadn't even seen before. An idea surfaced that led to an opportunity that led to money moving toward me in a way I could not have engineered or predicted. And then another, and then another, until the day I looked up and realized that what I was living in was exactly what I had spoken, not what I had worked for, but what I had assumed. This is the law. This is the mechanism beneath everything. If you can hold your assumption without wavering, if you can declare it done without immediately checking to see if it's true yet, the universe is not free to contradict you. It must conform. Reality is not a fixed thing you move through. It is a responsive thing that moves around you. So today, set down the exhausting weight of struggle. Set down the myth that suffering is proof of deserving. Stand inside your power, fully, completely, without apology, and say the words that matter most. It is done. Feel the truth of that. Let it settle into your bones. And then be still and watch the world reorganize itself around the new thing you have chosen to believe. Every word you speak is a living thing. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. When you open your mouth and release words into the air, you are not simply making sound. You are issuing commands to the fabric of your experience. You are painting, stroke by stroke, the landscape of your life. Words are not mere communication, they are creation. They are vibrations that move through the architecture of existence, summoning circumstances and people and opportunities in perfect resonance with what has been declared. Most people live utterly unaware of this. They speak carelessly, reflexively, the way they breathe, without intention, without awareness. They say, I'm always broke and marvel at how the month always runs out before the money does. They say nothing ever works out for me and wonder why they seem to be the only person in the room who fortune ignores. But there is nothing mysterious about it. They are the ones maintaining these conditions faithfully, reliably, every time they open their mouths. There is no magic in lack. There is only the power of assumption turned in the wrong direction, like a compass pointed steadily toward the thing you don't want. What if you chose differently? What if you treated your words the way a master jeweler treats his tools, with precision, with reverence, with the full awareness that what you're working with is extraordinarily powerful? You would never again be careless with what you say. You would understand that each sentence is not a description of the present but a specification for the future. Words are seeds, and every seed you plant in the soil of your subconscious will grow into the exact plant its nature demands. You cannot plant corn and harvest wheat. You cannot plant fear and harvest freedom. The law is not flexible on this point. What you say persistently, with feeling, becomes the world you walk through. Look back across your life and you will see the evidence of this everywhere. Think of a time you spoke of an outcome with certainty, the certainty that something wonderful would happen, or the certainty that something terrible would, and then it did. You called that coincidence. You called it luck, or fate, or timing. But it was none of those things. It was manifestation. It was the law operating exactly as it always does, delivering what you declared. Your subconscious mind is not an audience. It is a worker, tireless, literal, absolutely loyal, and it takes every word you say as an instruction. It does not evaluate what you want. It does not filter what you fear. It simply hears, and it obeys. When you say, I can never catch a break, your mind registers that as your preferred reality and begins its faithful work of confirming it. When you say, I am always in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, the same process begins only now in a direction that serves you. Consider the people who have rebuilt themselves from nothing into something extraordinary. Look closely, and you will find almost without exception that they spoke their future into existence long before it materialized. They declared abundance when their circumstances screamed scarcity. They insisted on their own success when every visible piece of evidence disagreed. But their words had weight. Their words had force. Because they were not merely spoken, they were believed. That is the distinction that changes everything. Words without belief are empty vessels. They make sound but carry no power. Words spoken with genuine conviction are something else entirely. They are living declarations that take shape in the unseen and begin immediately drawing toward you, the people, the circumstances, and the opportunities that belong to the reality you have named. If you truly grasp this, if this knowledge settled into your body as understanding rather than information, you would never again speak against yourself. Not once. You would never again say, I am unlucky, or I don't deserve this, or things like that don't happen for people like me. You would treat such words as what they are, self-inflicted wounds, and you would refuse them. Instead, you would speak only of what you desire as if it is already present, as if you are describing what you can see rather than imagining what you hope for. You would say, I am prosperous not as an affirmation but as an observation. You would say, everything is working out for me, not as hope, but as known fact. The world outside you is a mirror. It cannot show you something you have not first spoken and believed within. Change what you speak, and you change what you see. The universe listens without interruption, without judgment, and without delay. It is always waiting for your next command. Speak with the knowledge of someone who understands what speaking actually does, and watch the mirror change its reflection. The world you live in is not fixed. Let that land fully. The circumstances surrounding you right now, your finances, your relationships, your sense of what's possible, none of it is permanent. None of it is the final word on what your life can be. Every single thing you experience in the external world is the outpicturing of an inner assumption. It is the visible form of a thought you held long enough and believed deeply enough to make real. This means something extraordinary. If you want a different life, you do not begin by changing your circumstances. You begin by changing your assumptions. This is the great secret that most people live and die without discovering. They spend their entire lives working on the outside, rearranging circumstances, chasing opportunities, trying to engineer outcomes, never realizing that the outside is only ever responding to the inside. The moment you understand that, the entire game changes. Most people believe they must pursue their desires. They see what they want as something out there, separate from them, requiring effort and time and luck to reach. And in that very act of seeing it as separate, as something they must get to, they confirm the gap. They create the distance. And as long as they perceive the gap remains. The shift you must make is this: stop moving toward your desire and start living from it. Assume it is already yours. Not someday, not when everything lines up. Now, take on the inner knowing, the quiet, unshakable certainty that your wish is already accomplished. This is not delusion. This is not pretending. This is the most sophisticated and accurate relationship with reality that a human being can have. Think of someone who is genuinely, completely wealthy. Notice how they move through the world. They don't wake up anxious about whether they'll have enough. They don't flinch at prices or agonize over purchases. They inhabit an unspoken, automatic confidence, a settled knowledge of abundance that doesn't require daily reassurance. It is not effortful for them, it is simply their natural state. If you desire wealth, you must become that person inside before the world makes you that person outside. You must walk as they walk, think as they think, speak as they speak. Not in imitation, but in genuine embodiment, because you have made a decision that this is who you are now. You live from that reality, not toward it. There is a profound difference between hoping for something and knowing it is yours. Hoping holds the thing at arm's length, forever on the horizon. Knowing draws it in. Knowing closes the gap. When you fully accept a reality within yourself, when you plant your flag in it and refuse to be moved, the outer world has no alternative but to reflect it back to you. This is the law of assumption, and it does not negotiate. A man once stood in the middle of a financial life that was disintegrating around him. Debts were real, options seemed absent, and instead of doing what most people do, focusing on the lack, feeding it with his attention, reinforcing it with his worry, he chose the harder and braver path. He assumed wealth. He didn't just say the words, he inhabited the feeling. He moved through his days with the ease of a man who has already solved the money problem. He made decisions with the inner posture of abundance, not scarcity. He spoke, thought, and carried himself from a place of complete financial security before there was a single piece of evidence in the physical world to support it. And then reality began to bend. Ideas surfaced. Connections appeared. Opportunities arrived through channels he couldn't have engineered. One by one, and then all at once, the outer world reorganized itself around the inner reality he had chosen to occupy. He did not force it. He did not chase it. He simply refused to live anywhere other than the assumption he had claimed. The same law governs every dimension of your life. If you desire love, you must assume fully, emotionally, in your cells, that you are already deeply, completely loved. Not that love is coming, that it is here. Feel the warmth of it, the ease of it, the way it shows up in small daily moments. The one who lives in the assumption of love's absence will find that absence faithfully maintained. The one who knows they are loved, before anyone has confirmed it, will watch love appear as if it were always there waiting. Your only work is to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. That is the entire practice. It is not hard labor. It is a choice repeated, deliberate, sustained. Close your eyes and step fully into the life you desire. Don't just picture it. Feel what it feels like to be that person in that life right now. How do you breathe? How do you hold your body? What does a quiet Tuesday feel like when everything you wanted is already yours? Take that feeling and carry it through your day like a flame you're protecting from wind. Do not let the outer world extinguish it. Do not look around for confirmation and grow discouraged when you don't find it yet. The seed is under the soil. The sky doesn't show you the root system, but the roots are there, growing toward the life you have claimed. Reality is always responding to you. The moment you shift what you assume, it begins shifting what it shows you. Don't wait for proof. Assume it first. Feel it completely. And let what is already done in the invisible become visible in its own perfect time. Your mind is a field that never lies fallow. Something is always growing in it. The question is only whether you are the one choosing what to plant. Most people are not. They have surrendered the garden to whatever seeds blew in on the wind, fears inherited from childhood, limitations absorbed from the people around them, stories told so many times they calcified into beliefs. And then they look at the overgrown garden of their experience and wonder how things got this way. Your subconscious mind is the most faithful, most literal, most tireless collaborator you will ever have. It does not question your instructions. It does not argue with your declarations. It accepts everything you give it and immediately begins working to make it real. It is the silent architect living beneath conscious awareness, constructing your life according to the blueprints you feed it, not once, but every day, through the words you repeat and the thoughts you return to. Repetition is how a belief is built. This is not a weakness of the mind, it is its most powerful feature. The first time you say something new, your conscious mind may resist it. This isn't true yet. This doesn't match what I see. And in a sense, it's right, the physical world hasn't caught up. But the physical world is always running behind. It is always producing tomorrow what you believed yesterday. If you change what you believe consistently, the world must eventually produce the new thing. This is why people who try affirmations once and give up miss the entire point. You cannot plant a seed in the morning and demand fruit by afternoon. You water the seed, you tend it, you trust the process. Repetition is the water. Many people unknowingly use the law of repetition as a weapon against themselves. They repeat day after day, I can never catch a break. Money is hard to come by. I attract the wrong people. Things never work out for me. They say these things so often, with such familiarity, that they no longer even hear them. But the subconscious mind hears everything, and it delivers exactly what it has been given. What would happen if you used that same relentless consistency in service of what you want? If you said, every morning I am prosperous, and everything I touch expands, with the same ease and repetition with which you used to say your limitations, what would your subconscious mind eventually accept as true? And what would the world eventually produce? The answer is everything you said. Because that is what the subconscious does. It does not evaluate, it does not have preferences, it does not root for you or against you. It takes whatever you repeat with enough frequency and enough feeling, and it crystallizes it into belief. And belief is what manifests. When you first begin speaking a new truth about yourself, it will feel foreign. There may be a voice that rises up and says, this isn't real. You don't have this yet. Who do you think you are? That voice is not wisdom. That voice is the old program running. You do not argue with it. You simply continue. You repeat your new truth anyway. Past the resistance, past the discomfort, past the feeling of unreality, because you understand that the discomfort is the growing pain of reprogramming. It is the sensation of old grooves being replaced by new ones. Water doesn't carve the Grand Canyon in an afternoon, but it gets there. Repetition always wins. Build the practice into the architecture of your days. Say your declarations when you wake up, while your mind is still tender and receptive. Say them again at night, when the door between conscious and subconscious stands open. Write them, speak them aloud, think them while you drive. Let them become the background music of your inner life until they feel not like affirmations, but like simple facts, things you know the way you know your own name. Even when doubt arrives, and it will continue, even when circumstances seem unchanged, and they may for a while persist, because your mind is always listening, always recording, always constructing the next version of your life from the material you're providing. Change the material, and you change the life. People have done this. Ordinary people in extraordinary difficulty have used this single practice to pull themselves out of circumstances that seemed inescapable into prosperity, into love, into health, into lives that once felt like they belonged to someone else. They didn't do it by trying harder in the world. They did it by shifting what they persistently said and felt and believed. You do not need to force anything. You only need to choose a new truth and repeat it until your subconscious mind adopts it as real. Once it does, it will direct your attention, your energy, your intuition, and your actions in perfect alignment with that truth, and the world will follow. This is the power of repetition. Speak consistently what you desire, and it will become the only reality you know. There is a secret that separates those who speak about manifestation from those who actually live it. That secret is feeling. You can repeat words 1,000 times. You can fill journals with affirmations, cover your walls with intentions, narrate your desires in eloquent sentences every morning. But if those words carry no feeling, if they are recited like a grocery list, rather than declared like a known truth, they will accomplish nothing. They are seeds without water, blueprints without builders. The subconscious mind is not moved by language alone. It is moved by emotion. It responds to the aliveness of what you feel. And the universe, whatever intelligent, responsive field underlies the world we see, does not answer your words. It answers the energy behind your words. It reads not what you say, but what you feel to be true. This is why so many people try and seem to fail. They want abundance, but feel scarcity. They say, I am wealthy, but inside, in the place below the words, they feel the tight anxiety of someone who does not have enough. They say, I am loved, but beneath the affirmation there is the hollow ache of loneliness. And it is not the words that manifest. It is always, always the feeling. The law is not, you get what you say. The law is, you get what you feel to be true. If you want to manifest something genuinely, manifest it. Not just speak about it. You must generate the feeling of already having it. You must find the emotional reality of the wish fulfilled and take up residence there. Not visit. Live there. What does it feel like to have all the money you need? Not theoretically feel it. Feel the ease of it, the spaciousness of a life where money is not a source of fear. Feel what it's like to wake up without financial anxiety, to make choices from abundance rather than scarcity, to breathe differently, move differently, speak differently from inside that financial reality. That feeling is not just a pleasant exercise. That feeling is your creative instrument. That feeling is what the universe is reading. What does it feel like to be deeply, genuinely loved? Not to be waiting for love to have it, to feel it present around you, in the small daily moments, in the warmth and ease of connection. Feel the contentment of someone who knows they are wanted, the security of someone who knows they belong. Take that feeling and wear it. Let it change how you carry yourself through the world. This is why visualization works not as a passive daydream, but as an active emotional rehearsal. When you close your eyes and see your desired life, do not just observe it from the outside like watching a film. Step into it. Engage your senses completely. If you are manifesting success, feel the handshake of someone congratulating you on what you've built. Hear the specific words they say. Feel the warmth in your chest, not pride exactly, but the deep satisfaction of having become someone equal to your own vision. If you are manifesting a home, feel the texture of the door frame under your hand. Hear the sound of your own footsteps on the floors. Smell the specific air of a place that is yours. The more embodied the feeling, the more powerful the signal. This is where most people lose their way. They perform affirmations in a neutral emotional state, hoping the words will do the work. But neutral emotion produces neutral results. It is intensity, the feeling of it being real, being now, being true, that causes reality to reorganize. Have you ever watched someone who is deeply in love move through an ordinary day? There is something different about them. They glow. They are lighter. They see possibility in things that others see as mundane. This is not because their life is objectively better. It is because the feeling they carry changes what they notice, what they attract, what they create. The emotion precedes the evidence. The feeling generates the reality. Do not wait for your circumstances to improve before you allow yourself to feel well. This is backward. This is the trap. I will feel abundant when I have money. I will feel loved when I find my person. I will feel successful when I see the results. But the universe is structured so that the feeling comes first. The feeling is the cause. The circumstances are the effect. Generate the feeling now. Manufacture it deliberately. Find it in memory, in imagination, in the small pleasures that already exist in your life. Amplify it, sustain it, carry it like a frequency you've decided to broadcast, and let the world tune itself to match. Doubt is static in the signal. When you affirm one thing but feel the opposite, you are broadcasting noise, and the universe responds to noise with confusion, with delay, with the appearance of nothing happening. The practice is to align what you say with what you feel, to close the gap between the declaration and the belief, until speaking your desire and feeling it as true become one seamless, undivided act. In the beginning, this will require practice. It will feel like imagination, and that is fine. The imagination is where all creation begins. Stay with it, return to it. Let the feeling of your wish fulfilled grow more familiar with each repetition, until one morning you notice that it no longer feels like pretending, it feels like remembering. It feels like coming home to something that was always true. That morning is the moment everything accelerates. Whatever you desire, speak it. Yes. But more than speak it, feel it. Feel it with your whole body. Feel it as if the news has already arrived, as if the door has already opened, as if what you wanted has been yours all along and you've simply been waiting to notice. That feeling is not just preparation for your desire. That feeling is your desire made real in the only dimension where you have complete power, the dimension of your inner world. Let it out from there, and the outer world must follow. It has no other choice. The outer world is a mirror, not a window. Not a window you look through to see reality, a mirror. And a mirror can only show you what is already in front of it. Your external circumstances, the money in your account, the love in your life, the opportunities on your path, none of them are independent, objective truths. They are all reflections, faithful, exact, patient reflections of what you have been assuming, feeling, and believing inside. Most people don't know this. They live reactively, watching the mirror and taking instruction from what they see there. They look at lack and conclude they are poor. They look at absence and conclude they are unworthy. They look at failure and conclude they are limited. And in reacting that way, in letting the mirror tell them who they are, they seal themselves inside the loop. They believe what they see, and so they feel what they've always felt, and so the mirror shows them what it's always shown them. This is how a life stays the same for decades. To break the loop, you must do the counterintuitive thing. Stop taking instruction from the mirror. See it for what it is, not a report on what's possible, but a projection of what you previously assumed. See it as yesterday's news, old information, the world your past self created, and then choose deliberately, consciously, without waiting for permission to look somewhere else. Look at the life you intend to live. Look at the reality you have already claimed in consciousness, even though the mirror hasn't caught up yet. Place your attention there, not as wishful thinking, but as the decision of someone who understands how reality actually works. If your bank account shows a number that contradicts your desires, do not stare at that number and let it speak to your emotions. Do not give it the authority to determine how you feel. Acknowledge it if you must, it exists. It is information, and then gently, firmly redirect your awareness back to the financial reality you have assumed as yours. Live inside that assumption. Walk through your day from inside it. If your relationships feel lonely, do not let loneliness become your inner climate. Do not let it color everything you see and confirm itself through your withdrawn, guarded, love-starved behavior. Choose instead the inner climate of someone who is loved. Let that feeling warm you from the inside out. Change how you move through rooms. Change how you greet strangers. Change what you notice and what you overlook. The mirror will always change last. This is the thing that defeats so many people. They make an inner shift. They hold it for a few days. They look at the mirror expecting a new reflection. And when the reflection looks the same, they conclude that nothing is working. And so they retreat to the old assumption, the old feeling, the old frequency. And the mirror, faithful as ever, continues to reflect exactly that. You must be willing to live in the gap between your inner assumption and your outer reflection, not with anxiety, not with frustrated waiting, but with the calm certainty of a gardener. You planted the seed. You know it is there. You continue to water it, not because you can see it growing, but because you understand the nature of seeds and soil and time. Do not dig it up to check. Do not declare it dead because the ground looks undisturbed. Do not let the mirror persuade you that your declaration was wrong. The mirror lags, but it always eventually catches up. Faith is the discipline of remaining in your assumption during the lag. And faith is not a passive thing. It is not sitting and hoping with your eyes closed. True faith is active, alive, fully engaged. It is the state of someone who knows so completely that their desire is already accomplished, that they have stopped being desperate for it. They are at peace. They are not checking. They are not bargaining. They are simply being the person who already has what they claimed in thought, in feeling, in posture, in language. There is an old image of this kind of faith, a person who goes to a well, not hoping it has water, but knowing it does. They bring the bucket. They lower it with confidence. They expect water because they have decided there is water there. That is the posture. Not wishing there were water, knowing there is water. Those who manifest with consistent, almost effortless regularity have mastered this. They are not more talented, more fortunate, or more deserving than you. They have simply settled their inner world before asking the outer world to comply. They have become immovable in their assumption, and reality, which is always responsive, bends to meet them. You are capable of this. Not someday. Now. The question is only whether you will commit to ignoring what the mirror currently shows long enough to let your new assumption take hold. When the appearance contradicts your desire, say quietly, "This is old. This is not my story anymore." And return to the knowing. Return to the feeling. Hold your ground, because your faith, your willingness to believe in the unseen with the confidence of someone who has already seen it, is the single most powerful creative force available to you. Hold it, and watch the world become what you have already declared. You are more powerful than you have been told. The words you choose are not small things. The beliefs you carry are not innocent passengers. The feelings you return to, again and again throughout the day, are not simply your emotional weather, they are your creative output. They are constantly, ceaselessly, without pause or negotiation, building the life you inhabit. The mechanism is elegant in its simplicity. Speak it, believe it, feel it, hold it without wavering. And the world, which is nothing more than consciousness made visible, must reshape itself around your conviction. You do not need more time. You do not need better circumstances to begin. You do not need anyone's permission or validation or assistance. You need only to make a decision, a real one, a committed one that you refuse to walk back about the reality you are choosing to inhabit, and then begin inhabiting it. From this moment, speak only what you wish to be true. Use your words as the precise, powerful instruments they are. Speak of abundance, and let scarcity have no more residence in your language. Speak of love, and let loneliness lose its grip. Speak of success not as something you are pursuing, but as something you are being. And feel the truth of your words so deeply that no passing circumstance could shake your certainty. This is not a technique, this is not a trick. This is the actual nature of the relationship between your inner world and the world you see around you, a relationship that has always been operating whether or not you were directing it. Now you are directing it. Now you are the one choosing the assumption, the one selecting the feeling, the one speaking the decree. The world has always been listening to you. It has been faithfully producing whatever you gave it. Now give it something worthy of the life you desire. Give it certainty. Give it conviction. Give it the unshakable, knowing that what you desire is not coming, it is here. Claim it, feel it, live as if it is already done, because it is. This is Never Lectures. I'll see you again in the next video.